Hello, everybody. In today's episode, me and this guy, Ship Boy something something something, are going to be trying to fiddle with the Edmond Fitzgerald for multiple times, so that we can basically tell you how it sank and yada yada yada, and let him explain.
Okay, so we're in. Where are we in? Oh, Southampton. Southampton we're considering as Superior, Wisconsin. Now, the Edmund Fitzgerald, it left at 2:10 in the afternoon from Superior, Wisconsin. So it would have gotten there around noon. Actually, let me change that. Around 8 o'clock. It took about 4 to 8 hours to load one of these ships. So around 2:10 p.m., the ship was fully unloaded. Fully loaded. It would leave Superior, Wisconsin, and head about halfway through the lakes. And then it would meet up with the other Great Lakes ship, the Arthur M. Anderson. It was about 690 feet. The Edmund Fitzgerald was about 630 feet, if I remember correctly. Or no, 730 feet. The Edmund Fitzgerald at the time did have a crew of 29. The crew on board the Anderson is still unknown. The estimate is around 20 to 25 people because it was a smaller ship. So the Edmund Fitzgerald would have been leaving from Superior, Wisconsin. It would have headed down, and the Anderson, it wasn't originally supposed to pick up the Anderson, but they decided to go together. It would have gone through the Sioux Locks and then down to Zug Island, which is in Detroit. And I guess some of the speculation behind the Edmund Fitzgerald was it was in just disrepair for so many years. It was actually scheduled to go to dry dock, similar with what happened with the Carl D. Bradley in 1950. It was supposed to go to dry dock, and then it was brought back on a trip.
Which I think is
Fitzgerald.
Which I think is stupid because like every ship, like Carl D. Bradley, Daniel J. Morale, and M. Fitzgerald, last freight day, and they're trying to get to that dock, and it just never happens. All right, continue.
Yeah. Well, this is one of these. This is one of these days, and it was supposed to go back to dry dock because the hull inspection that they had a few months ago was not good, and they also just needed some modernizing. Plus, the radars weren't. They were just outdated, basically, on board. Either way, halfway, or actually getting out of Superior, the National Weather Service, which has its own radio station on board on the ship, issued a gale warning. This was just a light gale warning. It wasn't supposed to be too crazy, just a typical storm on the Great Lakes. As it got more and more halfway through the the trip, the storm was just getting more and more. They were getting 15 to 20 foot waves. Pretty much halfway through, the ship didn't lose its power, but it ended up losing all of its radar except the phone lines on board.
Weren't they using like the Anderson's radar to like navigate themselves?
So they were communicating back and forth with the Anderson at the time and just checking its speed. So we're pretty much halfway, we can say quarter of the way through Lake Superior. So by the next day, things are still, it's just bad weather. I mean, they're doing their things, checking engines, writing on the logbooks, cleaning things, and whatever. I think the last day of the Fitzgerald, they were not pretty much able to make any food because the weather was so bad. The galley was just completely closed, and people weren't. I think a bunch of the crew members weren't even able to go back and forth on the ship, so they weren't able to go from the pilot house.
Which the only way they would have. Did they have one of those passageways on it?
They did have the passageways, but with the ship being in such bad repair, they actually lost a vent on the side.
Yeah, they lost a vent and a railing, probably heading 6 fathoms short. I want to say that's what it's called. Now, we don't know if that's what happened because literally after, it's all kind of like a mystery because we just have to go off what we know of the Anderson because, as you know, no survivors, so there's no one to really testify.
Yeah. But they would end up losing, like I said, they lost the radar. They would lose the vent, which would cause water to come in on board the ship. Oh, I just hit a mine, for Pete's sake. No!
Just press pumps and then watertight bulkheads.
Alrighty. Anyway,
should be fine.
So they would end up getting water on board. Because of that, many of the passageways that would run alongside the ship, because right now this ship is a straight decker frame.
Wait a minute.
So
to make this more realistic, should we slow down to get closer together like they did on the ship?
Yeah, well, I'd like to tell you I'm at 8 knots right now, just to...
Okay, let me just slow down. I believe the Edmond Fitzgerald slowed down to let the Arthur M. Anderson catch up.
Yeah, so about halfway through, because there was water coming in, and crew members were not even able to get... So if you were an officer, and for some reason, like the chief engineer, they would not have a cabin up at the front. But if you were a first officer for some reason, and you would be in the engine room during this time, you could really not have gotten through...
To go to
the
bed,
pilot house.
because up here in the super series, like what's it called? Most of it's I believe the front part is like just a lounge area. Like I believe most of it's just like lounge and like suites and that basically, because it was really fancy for the time period.
Because this was the flagship flagship of Ogle Bay Northern, which owned the ship at the time. It did, at the time, the Edmond Fitzgerald did have a sister ship. It was launched...
It was the something Homer, I believe.
Yeah, Arthur B. Homer. I want to say it was launched in 1959, because she was launched in 1958.
Yeah, so just like a year-round difference.
Yeah, so originally the Homer was smaller than the Fitzgerald, but the Homer,
you should probably turn. There's a tornado and an island. If you head straight, so just turn a little bit. All right.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing. The Homer actually, at one of its refits, actually ended up going over to 809 feet around the 1970s or even the 1960s. I can't remember, but it officially became one of the largest ships on the Great Lakes.
So should we sink it about now? Should we sink it about now and then talk about the wreck and all that? Because we're like, are we halfway?
Yeah.
Probably like as soon as, where are we? Probably as soon as we get like midsection, like right where that middle rock is, we'll sink it, and then you'll tell us about the wreck and all that, and like what caused them to not go back and all that.
Yeah. So right about here is 6 Fathom Shoals,
which we hit bottom, and then it just does its thing.
Yeah. So originally on the report, just imagine it's stormy, it's foggy.
You can't see anything.
Right now, the Anderson,
it's terrible.
You can't see anything. The only thing the Anderson can see right now is just the lights on board the ship.
And then the lights went outside, and then they're like, then they go back, and then.
Yeah. So the ship supposedly hits 6 Fathom Shoals. In my opinion, I think it did. Originally, as we know, it lost its vent and had water coming in.
Yeah, because, like, why would it lose a vent unless it, like, flexed a little too hard? It flexed badly.
And these ships are designed to flex. They're designed to roll all over the place.
Because, as you know, the Carl, Lee, Bradley, and Morrell, they didn't flex, and what happened to them is broke in half and sank.
Yeah. So, it would have hit 6 Fathom Shoal.
Alright, let's just
and what is believed is the hull would have ripped up at the bottom, and all the ore and stuff spilled out, causing water to come into the hull.
And then I'm now
recreating
the sinking, and you would now just.
So
now, do you want to talk about
originally when this happened? Captain
Cooper went back
aboard the Anderson. He would actually the first officer, I forget his name, who was on board
I know Cooper,
Fitzgerald at the time. Yeah, so he would make a call to the Anderson.
And like
the
it
last
was like
call that was he was asking,
we're doing well in like that type.
Yeah, so the last call ever from the Arthur M. Anderson to the Fitzgerald, Captain McSorley replied with, "We are holding our own."
Yeah, we are holding our own. And
that was
took I believe it took a deep plunge, like it plunged into the water, because that would explain. Oh, there's a Liberty ship. Why is it going so fast? Dang.
Oh, golly. Anyway, so so
wait a minute, wasn't there a Liberty ship on the scene also with the Anderson? There was I don't know if that. I believe there was a ship that was similar to like a Liberty ship. So I'm currently just
I'll get into that. So the Anderson first mate would radio to the Fitzgerald asking like how it's doing. It ended up trying to radio it 5 times. There was just silence over the radio.
Oh, you good?
say the captain originally would want to go to Whitefish Bay.
Yeah, he went to Whitefish Bay, right?
Yeah, we'll go to Whitefish Bay.
And then he returned out, came back to go look for survivors in which... Did you just...
Yep. Yeah, I just...
Alright, well, you can just explain it, considering...
Yeah, so either way, the, so wanted to go back,
and then,
to Whitefish Bay for safety.
And then
but
the Coast Guard said, return back, look for survivors, and sadly, they never found any survivors because...
So, in Sault Ste. Marie, there was another ship. It was called the William Clay Ford, and it was actually docked there for the night. It was, I think, it was either going downbound or upbound. I can't remember, but either way, it was actually, it wasn't, how can I say this? It was ready to go basically. So
yeah, it was ready to go back, look for survivors, all that.
Yeah, so the captain on board the William Clay Ford actually heard what was going on over the radio and whatnot. So
and he was like, "Can we assist you in anything?" Because
Yeah, so they went out and assisted them. I think they searched for about a day and a half. They didn't find anyone.
Because
all they found
were they found. I remember that the lifeboats got ripped from the davits, and they found those and some life jackets.
They found 2 lifeboats, which I've actually seen the lifeboats in person. They're very chilling to see.
Because you know very well that they were not launched at that time. They were just ripped from the deck and floated off.
Yeah.
Because of how fast.
Keep in mind these lifeboats on board the ship. Why is my VC going?
Are not.
Anyway, keep in mind the lifeboats on these ships. They are completely anchored down, so they do not.
Yeah, so the force of which
they're tied down to where they can't even move. So just the force of the sinking and just what happened. Yeah, it's just crazy.
That's why I believe it took a deep dive. That's personally, it took a deep dive, then broke in half on the seafloor, and then just did its thing.
Yeah. So around, I think it was 1979, or not, it might have been, yeah, I think it was 1979 that the first dive was sent down there. It was not, I think it was just an ROV. It wasn't ever just a, like a personal submarine where people could
yeah, it
go
was just
in.
an ROV because, see what's down there, and they found the wreck, and it was in pretty decent condition. We haven't done a dive since the 90s, so.
Yeah, but
should we tell them why that is? Why they haven't dived, or do you think that would be?
So, the stern of the ship, which was ripped off of the Fitzgerald,
it's caved in.
Actually lays.
It's upside down. It's caved in.
Yeah. So it lays in Canadian waters, but the bow of the ship is actually in U.S. water.
Oh, so.
And I know it sounds crazy. Yeah, so technically they could go over to the bow, but the company, the
family said
never
no
go back
to
down.
it.
Yeah.
Because
the
whole thing by the stern. We're not gonna say what it is because I don't feel like getting demonetized.
Yeah.
They found something by the stern. Okay, so
yeah.
No, not the stern, the bow. Yeah.
Yeah, they would go down a few times
and find things
just to take pictures and whatnot. One of the things that was very interesting on one of the dives was in the pilot house where they control the ship. One of the doors
right here
was open.
It was wide open. Like, why would it be wide? That's why I think it got it blasted through the pilot house, through the windows, and then that force opened up the doors. Were both doors open or just one door?
One door's open.
Okay, so someone stepped out and then it sank.
I think at the time, the crew both knew it because it was reported. I don't think it was reported, but what we saw with an incident, someone did have a life jacket on. So we are assuming.
Yes, someone got out. Someone was ready to jump out, but it went too fast and boom.
Yeah, so we think they were trying to get out at the time.
Yeah, because
it sank so fast.
Yeah, because by the time. Because if you have watched my channel, you know once the ship goes, it goes as soon as possible.
Yes. Yeah. But
and plus it was Was it overloaded?
In the 90s. Yes, it was very much so overloaded.
Okay, so.
One second. They would. Yes, it was very overloaded. this practice is actually, it's not allowed to happen anymore with overloading ships.
Yeah. So should we wrap this up, considering it's been 15 minutes?
Yeah.
Alright, so don't overload stuff. Try to be safe. Have a great day. And this has been, what's your YouTube channel name again? For the
History
audience?
on the Lakes.
History on the Lakes. Go check him out. He's a great guy. Very chill. He's probably not going to be gone. He's going to be gone until Sunday. So I plan on doing more with you. And yeah, have a great day. Goodbye.